Chaz Franklin. He gave me the tools, bro. He gave me like the lowdown of what happens and how this overseas stuff works. This is cutthroat. If you don't perform, if you have like probably one bad game, you might be sent home the next day.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at me. Bench Mob, they're speaking the facts that you wanna hear. They rep a jersey, the vision is clear. Diamonds glisten like a chandelier. You know what I'm here for, like Marshawn Lynch. At clutch time, we do not flinch. Real brothers, we do not switch. Hit home runs with the right pitch. Who run the city? What to do when they hating on you? I feel like Kobe 2010. Taking an L, all I need is a win. Business is business, you know how they go. You playing the seats, now it's time to grow. Winning now, gotta be in the know. Showtime, bitch, my about to blow.
I ain't seen from now.
Bench Mob Podcast. What's up, bro? Welcome back to another episode of the Bench Mob Ent. We got a special one for y'all today. My bro played ball with this man. His brother's one of my closest friends. William Thompson is in the building today. How you doing, bro?
What's going on? Glad to be here, man. Glad to be here.
We appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. For those that are tapping in right now, subscribe, share, rate, leave a review for us. Tell a friend about this episode. I'm going to start with this one, get straight into it. Has the love of basketball always been there for you, or is it something that, happened later in life?
Yo, that's probably the greatest question ever because to be completely honest with you, I hated ball growing up. My brother can attest to this. You know him, Dave Thompson can attest to this. Our cousin too, Mikey, can attest to this. All the people through Orange, my brothers, everyone can attest to it. I did not like basketball. I could not stand it. I only played it because they did. And I wanted to play baseball. Keep it a whole buck. I wanted to play baseball. I wanted to be a pitcher my whole life. But I guess down the road, it just went. It just went a different direction.
What caused the transition for it to turn from hate to love?
I mean, I would say like I got confidence. I didn't have confidence in my game. Like I knew I was kind of okay growing up, but it's like when you're playing around guys and it's like your ego, you don't have an ego yet. Like when kids figure out they have egos, it doesn't matter what age, and then they just start attacking you. It's like I didn't have a lot of self-confidence growing up. So when dudes attack me, it would just be like I would take it personally. I would take it to heart. You know what I mean? So it didn't really start clicking until probably maybe sophomore year, where I started like, okay, I kind of like this. And I went to a good school, a good program in Teaneck. Shout out Teaneck High. I went to a good program. We had a lot of good players come through there. And it just started getting better. And I think the thing was, even when I was on the team, I wasn't getting too much run. I was getting some, like I'll have like moments of good games. And then like I'll do like one or two bad plays and I'm like sitting on the bench for like probably until garbage time again. So that's where I was like, and then I would say after that, we got to like state sectionals, which is like, it still hurts to this day because we lost to a really good playing field team. And it's like, basically, I'm like looking back at that, it was like, you know what, this playing field team is basically us of Union County. They were just Teaneck, just in probably a harder area. Like dude who probably has had a little bit tougher time growing up. That's it. But it's like, yo, this is the same exact team. It's just they were ready for this. They didn't come to this game. It was like because you don't like Bergen County teams, besides Teaneck, Hackensack, Englewood, Bergen County white as hell. I'm not even gonna lie, Bergen County white. So whenever we played Bergen County, it was like, okay, stat game other than the Catholic schools. We saw it as a stat game.
Mm.
And then then it's like when it got real is when we started playing Passaic County, Essex County, Union County. When we started playing us, I'm like, all right. When we start seeing more color, it's like, all right, are you gonna hold them or are you gonna fold them?
Mm.
Are you gonna fold up in the pressure or are you gonna play? But from there, like I was getting a little bit of confidence, but it was not until I really got my confidence didn't really start showing up until I got to Felician, of all places. Not until I started to get to college. Because I was true freshman. My other friend was a true freshman. We come in and it's like we're playing behind juniors who are like JUCO guys, JUCO juniors. But I'm like, oh, when we were at practice, like, oh, y'all are not that much better than me.
Mm.
That's what I was feeling. I'm like, oh, you guys are not that much better than me. I thought since y'all were like juniors and stuff, you like the gap would be crazy, but it wasn't that crazy. So I was like, all right. Then I just started getting reps in, started coming in games, just making small but big plays. And from there, my confidence just kept growing because coaching staff really started to trust in me. Like, mind you, my statistics probably in college and in high school were never wowing whatsoever. I only averaged probably like 6 points in college altogether, but every year I kept getting better, which was the whole thing. I already had like a good basis of being like a really strong rebounder, and I could play defense depending on who's reffing the game. I could play defense without fouling pretty well. So I was I had something to work with there, and I actually had I had a good post move, a jump hook, and no one could seem to stop it.
So what went into the process of choosing Felician, and could it have been any other possible school, or was it always Felician?
It wasn't. I originally kind of wanted to go to there was all the NJAC schools wanted me, all the D3 schools wanted me, the NJACs wanted me, and I actually didn't think I was gonna get a basketball scholarship. I thought I was gonna get a volleyball scholarship, to be honest, because by the time I was a senior in volleyball, I was like one of the leaders in blocks in the state. So I thought I was going to get at least maybe a volleyball look from like NJIT or a couple other schools I just sent the tape out to. And it just so happens, like, you know what? The money went to basketball. So Felician offered me, and another school, Mansfield University, and the PSAC conference in Pennsylvania, they offered me. And those are like the two schools that really, I'm like, all right, I'm going to give both of them. I'm going to go to my visits and see who I really want to give my time to. I think for basketball wise, I think I would have probably been, I think maybe a little bit more polished, or because I probably would have been in a tougher conference with the PSAC going to Mansfield, but it was just really far. It was like four pushing 5 hours from New Jersey.
Sheesh.
Yeah, in the middle of like nowhere, Pennsylvania. So I'm like, I don't know if I really wanted to, and it wasn't like I was getting a full scholarship too. So I'm like, yeah, I just weighed my options. So I'm like, if Felician's not that far from home, 1, 2, parents could come to every game, and like from there, it's like I could still get a decent education, and I'm like, I'm not going to be bored because I'm still like in the tri-state area. I can still do stuff. So it's like there was nothing in the Mansfield area. That's why.
Oh no, that definitely would have been a factor in there. You could
Yeah.
be in the middle of nowhere, and then like you said,
Yeah.
Felician, what, 10, 15 minutes at most away from the crib?
Right.
That's a win-win right there.
Right. Exactly. But it was still like it was a process because like I'm so used to, like, mind you, I was never the guy in high school. So it's like, all right, I could come in and I could work because I'm trying to just fight to even get on the court. I'm going to fight to get on the court. And that's really like, because you know how most dudes, when you go from that transition from high school to college, like I just noticed like you got top 5-star, 4-star, 3-star recruits. It messes with their ego because they're not the man. You're not necessarily the man anymore. You're a backup to the guy, or you're a red shirt now. You're not getting on the court yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, nah. Once you get to that collegiate level, pro level is really which when we talk about your pro career, you can attest to is really carving out your role and being a star in your role. The quicker
Right.
you can accept that, the longer your career is going to be college and pro level. That's just
Exactly.
what it is. That's
Exactly.
facts. For you,
Mhm.
right, once you start actually loving the game, you start taking it more serious. Who are some of the players that you try to model your game after that you looked up to?
I was always a KG fan. Always, always, who was I really just like watching and trying to study a lot. It's funny now, like the dude who I do watch now, and it's really funny. I should have been watching him when he was on the Wizards, Andre Blatch, a lot more. I should have been watching him, but I didn't watch him enough. I was watching. I was watching Big Fundamental, boring as, but boring, but he gets it done. And I'm like, you know what, my game's boring like Tim Duncan, so I need to watch Tim Duncan and what he does.
Nah, Tim is that guy though. It was
Yeah,
boring.
he's that guy. It was
It,
boring.
it was boring, but some would
He
argue
gets
he
it
had a
done.
better career than Kobe, honestly speaking.
Really? Yeah, yeah, because he came right, 4-year guy out of Wake Forest, came right in and he had to start.
And off the rip, that was a piece. David Robinson,
Yeah,
respectfully, they wasn't winning no chip with D Rob.
right, right.
Timmy
Not
came and
just
changed the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, because Timmy came. I always say Timmy came in at the right time because he was at the end of that real wild, wild west. Like Hakeem, he won his 2 chips. He's starting to slow down a little bit. Chuck, the same thing. He can't get past Hakeem anymore. Gary, they broke up Gary and Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Lakers just got Shaq, so they just threw that. The West just got shaken up by Shaq coming to the West Coast. So yeah, that was really like it was a perfect storm.
For you, right? You
Mhm.
playing the big man position, center, power forward. Looking at the landscape of the NBA right now, do you feel that the era of the big man is starting to slowly come back and actually be appreciated when you look at, the Joel Embiid's of the world, the Jokic's, even the Nick Claxtons of the world? Do you feel like we're getting back to that era of actually using and appreciating the big man?
Oh, for sure. But it's not. It's more like you have to be a big with guard skills. You have to. But it's like at the end of the day, I don't care what nobody says. You can shoot all the threes you want. You can do all the in and outs and step backs all you want. This is still a tall guy's game, still a big guy's game. So if you have a big who's actually like just semi decent, like a Nick Claxton. Nick Claxton's a double double machine, but he's not high double doubles, but he still changes the game with his presence on the court of rebounding, running the floor, just getting tip dunks, blocking shots. Meanwhile, you have versatile bigs like Joel and Jokic, and I'll throw Giannis in there too. Giannis is a 3, but he's beefed up and they slid him to that 4. He still does 4-5 stuff where he'll post up, spin off you, and and still dunk it on your head. Like I think the only thing that's really changed is you're not on the block anymore. You're like block and higher. You're like the block's been pushed up. So you're in like that mid post area now where you have to, if you're gonna do like any like back to the basket stuff, you still got to do it from the mid post and get to your move. And most of the time, everyone faces up. So
That's a fact. And to your point, it's a tall person's game. IT not in the league anymore. Marquise,
yeah,
well, he had a great run in college, but some don't think he'll be in the league because it's a tall man's game. Trey Young,
yeah,
defensive liability because of height. Like
yeah.
to your point, most teams, if they can have a 6'5" point guard, they're gonna go get the 6'5" point guard.
They'll go get a 6'5" point guard. Yeah, but like, see, the thing is, all those guys you just named are extremely, extremely skilled and talented small guys. So you can't be a mediocre small guy anymore to be in the NBA. You can't be semi mediocre. Like even though we was babies and stuff, well, Earl Boykins and more Muggsy Bowles 5'3", but he was so elite. Like he had the ball on the string and he'll just rip you. It don't matter where. He'll rip you if you're not careful. He ripped big guys. He blocked big guys. Like Nate Robinson too. Freak athlete, but he was still skilled. Like you have to be extremely skilled. The smaller you are, the more skilled you must be to make it to the NBA. Not to say you have to be extremely skilled as bigs, but the possibility of the likelihood of you making it, the taller you are, is easier. Like we could case in point, the number 1 overall draft pick, Victor Wembanyama is, I don't know what they fed him in France or if they just gave him Rudy Gobert's genomes and mixed them with KD. Because I don't know what they fed that child, but he's like 7'6" with a 10-foot wingspan in himself. And he plays like KD.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, like bro, you're going number 1. Like it just is all on. I'm not going to be. This is NBA conspiracy for me. It's just where are you going to get the most money out of him? Or if you send him to Orlando, you ain't getting no money. The best place you're going to need to send him is Houston. Or the Pelicans are going to have to figure out how to move Zion or somebody so he can get to that French Cajun area.
Oh, that would be ideal for they would eat that France.
Yeah, France.
Wembanyama goes to the French Quarter.
New Orleans. Yeah, French Quarter. Yeah, like this, like it kind of writes itself, but we listen, we still gonna be on the Zion train with that one.
Yeah, if he get on the court, Zion is that guy when he's on the court. The only thing is
the best ability is availability. It's the same thing with him. Zion, Paul George, Kawhi, all these guys. Like I've learned that
they said Kawhi now. They said might have something, a torn meniscus or something, like another.
See, it's the lack of practice. I think that's what it is too. Like, mind you, I watch you guys in your podcast. I also watch Gil in his podcast. So I'm like, all right, he's right. They don't practice like how we used to in high school anymore. No one's running sprints. No one's doing like box out drills, suicides. You're not doing basketball stuff to sturdy your body. You know what I mean? And it happened.
No, go ahead.
It even happened to some of my teammates this season. Like I started seeing like dudes just roll ankles and like just start hurting themselves because we're just going up and down. We're not actually doing productive basketball work. We're not doing stuff that helps strengthen our bodies.
Yo, to your point, Gil, I love listening to Gil podcast. Being a former player that he is, hearing his mind of how he views the game and what's going on.
Oh yeah,
one of the best podcasts out. Just because I love how he breaks down the game.
Yeah, for sure.
People don't really understand how good Gil was and how he could have been if he didn't get in trouble and then he had the injuries himself.
Yeah. Like that's like I've really had to go back and rewatch tape. I'm like, yo, he was doing Steph. It's like he was like one of those dudes who was like poking the bear or pushing the envelope of being a scoring guard, where like you're not a pure point guard anymore. You're not bringing the ball up. You're putting everybody in sets or anything. He's just like, nah, going for 25 to 30 every night, and there's nothing you can do about it.
That was Gil for sure. What have you, in your opinion, could say to somebody for you? What has been some of the pros and cons of the overseas basketball life? Because we've talked before when we was playing over in Jersey Express, and we was talking about overseas and how a lot of people don't really understand that being overseas ain't sweet. is
Nah,
not sweet. And if you're not built
nah,
for it, forget talent wise. If you're not built for it mentally, a lot
yeah,
of things don't last overseas. But
not
pro,
for sure. Like it's it's cutthroat, bro. It's really cutthroat, and I'm glad that my first contract, even though it was like it was super small, it wasn't. But the person who I met when I was playing on that team is probably the most valuable asset ever. Shout out to coach, now coach of I'm premeditating it. He's one of the coaches of Chicago Sky, Chaz Franklin. He instilled like he gave me the tools, bro. He gave me like the lowdown of what happens and how this overseas stuff works. Cause he'd been playing for like when I met him, he was probably like 10 to 12 years in El Salvador. This man was playing in Colombia. He played in Germany. He was already a seasoned vet, and he went to El Salvador again. That was like his second stint in El Salvador playing. So he gave me the tools, and he's like, "Yeah, this is cutthroat. If you don't perform, you might if you have like probably one bad game, you might be sent home the next day." And being that you're the foreigner, you're the American, especially you're the American. Don't look for calls. Don't look for no calls. Don't look for no fouls. You just got to play through whatever. And like, depending what country you're in, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, the politics of just like you could be playing in this game, but them dudes in the stands need that ref to not make that call and cost you that win. And because it costs you that win, it can get you sent home. Like you could go on a tear. You could have 20, 25, 30, 15, 30, 15, back to 25. Then you get 10. Now you might get a call somewhere else. You might have to pack you up. And especially if you ain't winning. If you're not winning, it doesn't you can't if you're not winning, there's no money. There's no money. Why are you here?
that's a fact. That like yeah, it's different. That's different.
Yeah, it's
That's
really different. That's just like on the court, but like off the court, if you're not in a like major city, like mind you, most of my contracts, I wasn't in like big cities. I wasn't in like San Salvador and El Salvador. I wasn't in like DR's capital. I wasn't in main capital areas. So I'm like on like probably hour, maybe 45 minutes from a major city where I'm playing for the small market team. You know what I mean? And even then you gotta perform even more because now it's like, okay, if you're not putting butts in the stands in the small market team, you can't you definitely like and it's like since you're not in the city, there's no real like you can't really do like you can't there's no really reason for you to be distracted. It should just be focused on basketball. You know what I mean?
what has been some of the pros of the overseas life.
You get to see different countries. I feel like you get to see and experience different countries, see how basketball is in different countries, how it's played, and just like you just try to like assimilate to the culture no matter how long you're there because you don't know how long you'll be there.
That's true. I know people be getting shipped out, sometimes
Yeah,
called up to the higher leagues, stuff always
yeah,
changing. Like that's one thing from talking to a lot of overseas players, like it's constantly ever changing. Like you can literally be here and right after the game you go into another country.
right. That's exactly. But that's because you played well, like or even like you could be in the same country but you get moved up a division. You know what I mean?
For
Like that
you,
type of
you've been multiple countries, Felician, ABA. You played a lot of basketball, seen a lot of basketball. Is there anything that you would change about your career?
Mm, I wish I did not get hurt. I wish I didn't tear my hamstring a little bit playing in El Salvador, trying to make a playoff push. Just because just because that same teammate, he asked me if I was available to go to Saudi Arabia to play with him there. And that would have been a bag. That would have been some money. And it would have got me into that market as well. You know what I mean?
Shoot, Saudi
But
that is
yeah, yeah. But other than that, I'm like, it was still, I wouldn't really change much except just work. I would probably just work a little bit more on my game, just work on my developing my ball handling skills a lot better and just like working on a consistent jump shot. That would be really mostly it. Cause it's like I was saying, like it's hard being a back to the basket big, especially because now people don't know how to pass the rock. No one knows how to make an entry pass into the post. So it's like, or they're just so afraid to even throw it. It's like you gotta find ways to get your buckets. But that's why it's like, all right, I wasn't scoring wasn't really my first thing. So but that's why it's like, okay, I can always offensive rebound. I got all this weight. No one's really gonna who's really stopping me on when I'm in position to get a ball off the glass.
fundamentals aren't there as much anymore.
Not at all. But that's why, see, that's what's the difference between Europe and American basketball now. And it's really why Europeans are catching up to Americans and why the first overall pick is from Europe. He's going to be from Europe because these guys have been training, learning fundamentals. This court smaller over here. And they're like, and it's more, the games are physical. Games are a lot more physical than the NBA. And even, and the rules are more like college and high school where you can be in the paint on defense. Meanwhile, in the NBA, you got to be arm's length away, or like pro level basketball in the States, you have to be at least arm length away, depending what league you're in. You know what I mean?
For you, right? You're from Jersey, Teaneck
Mm-hmm.
High, Felician University. In your opinion, what makes Jersey basketball players so good?
Because we're a hybrid of New York and PA, mostly Philadelphia. We are hybrids of both of those major cities. Like, you could tell the difference between a South Jersey player and a North Jersey player, like from rip. Like South Jersey players play more like Philly guys. So even guards are going to get into the paint and try to rebound over you. Um, North Jersey guys still got like we try to do New York flair, but we do it a little bit more simple. It's more like I think it's more. I wouldn't say simpler, but it's more. We dribble with a purpose. You know what I mean? I notice like a lot of North Jersey guys will do the same moves like New York guys do, but we'll get somewhere with that dribbling. We're not just doing it just to do it. And there's no knock on the city and players in the city because there are a lot of dope New York guys in the city. It's just that's what I see. And just the thing about New Jersey is you're not playing if you don't play defense. I don't care where you're at. You're not playing. You're not seeing the floor. No ifs, ands, or buts until you play in some defense.
That's a fact. That's 100% a fact. Jersey, you gonna
Yeah.
play some defense.
You will play defense. You will be made to play defense. And it's like that's where I'm like I had to learn too, because this was great. This was always great because having like teammates in college like Antoine, Moody, and AG, they were like they're guards, but like I would get switched on them. I got to guard them. And if I could guard these two and actually like keep up with them sometimes, like mind you, I'm not going to guard them every play, but if I could keep up with them and move my feet and make them do something that they don't want to do, block their shot, or just make them kick it to somebody else and try to get it back, I've done my job. And I think that was like one of the biggest misconceptions of me as like I continue to play because I'm big and I'm strong, but like people think I can't move my feet and slide my feet on defense. So
Yo,
that's where like guards.
I could attest. You, anybody, me, the practices. AO is not an easy guard.
No,
AO was not an easy guard
not at all.
all. And I saw him at ABA. I can't
Yeah.
imagine. I've heard the stories of how good he was at Felician. For you to be able to keep up with him at that level, AO. Jeez. Good Lord.
Mind you, that was probably him being smarter as a smarter player, but he did that's because his knees were gone. Like I could only imagine. I met him when his knees were gone. Like I can only imagine when he still had both ACLs and dunking on people. Like I saw it. Like I saw him. I saw him with one ACL. He like my freshman year. He came back as a junior, and he went baseline. We were getting blown out, but he went baseline and banged on a dude at Bentley University first game. And then like by the like mid season, he had to shut it down because he hurt his knee again. But like he was just super skilled enough. Like you don't like I'm like, yo, if he had explosiveness and he still had his knees, he wouldn't be here.
Yeah, the fact that he still is a given. You're gonna see AO, he's
Mm-hmm.
double. It's 20 and 15, 20 and 10
Yeah.
happening. That talks to how skilled, how skilled he is. Like without the knees,
Right.
athleticism, I'm still getting to it. One piece of advice you would give to somebody that's trying to play overseas ball, play professional ball, what is one piece of advice you give to them?
You gotta put in the work. Don't give up because this is a hard grind. This overseas is it's a harder grind. It's a really hard grind. And if like for me, I didn't have really representation. I didn't really have an agent. So it was even hard. It's even harder. So you gotta market yourself. You gotta make tapes. You gotta put your stats together. You gotta find all your stats. You gotta make your tapes. You gotta send them out to teams. You gotta learn to take a no from certain teams too, because they don't know if they can really take you. And like I said about Tim Duncan's game being boring, my game is boring. I'm not gonna lie to you. Probably this last tape that I put out was probably exciting on a tape, but like most of my tapes are pretty boring. It's simple moves, just dunk simple moves, jump hooks, blocks, and offensive rebounds most of the time.
So before we transition to the last set of questions, I do want to ask for our listeners, which I think would be great information and knowledge for them. I remember you telling me you basically was trying to get yourself overseas, and obviously it worked. You've been in multiple countries. How did you market yourself, and what were some of the tools that you used to get your video out to certain teams and to get yourself overseas without having an agent, which I'm sure you've heard it. If you don't have an agent, there's no way you're getting to overseas. You're a testament to you able to do it without having an agent.
Right. Right. Yeah. I would say honestly, before it got oversaturated, Facebook. Facebook was really the place where you could find overseas jobs initially until it got oversaturated. And I think that saturation is starting to matriculate into Instagram too, because there's like there are legit people on Instagram where you can send your tapes to and everything. But not gonna lie, I bought like there were like programs on Facebook as well that I bought, and it would just give you a list of teams and their emails and like ways to contact them, or even like job openings and overseas job openings where you would just see like need 4 or 5 low pay but flights, accommodation, all that paid for. And you would just basically have your stuff together, send the PDF, and just it's a waiting game after that.
Hey, for those that's watching, tapping in, this seems to come up every episode that we have a guest. You are your best advocate. You have to market yourself. So, to his point, it might be saturated, but you're gonna have to put in the work regardless. Send it out to as many people as possible, and just put in the work. The cream of the crop rises.
All you need is one yes. You just need one yes. And then after that, if you get that one yes and you do your thing, with no matter how many games you have, if you just go show a team like, okay, we can work with something here, they might bring you back. Or another team sees you and you go to a totally different country and get paid more. There's that. That was how I did it. There's actually another way that I've learned from a brother. He's playing in, I want to say, Indonesia right now. Akeem Scott. He literally bought a plane ticket, went to Europe or whatever first club he went to, and just walked into a gym and asked like the staff, "Yo, can I be a practice player?" And just practiced with the team all season and worked on his game. And then next year they bought him back as a player and he got paid.
Shout out to that's a great story. That's somebody really that wanted it. You flew yourself out there?
He flew himself out there. He flew himself out there. He probably paid for all his stuff, all his meals and everything, and went to clubs and just went to a club and just asked, "Yo, can I practice with you guys during your club hours?" And so they could, and then when you're practicing with a team, they know what they're getting now. It's like anything else. If you see this player, you know what you're getting.
That makes complete sense. That's a great story. Wow. Shout out to him, because not many people would do that. Not many people.
Yeah.
That's really like betting on yourself, because you paying everything. Bet
on yourself. Like you just said, you're your own. If you're your own agent, it sometimes helps. Even if you are going to like low leagues, you don't have even if you go into like low leagues or something like that, you're still playing overseas. You can you play for one team, they pay you the money, they pay you, you play, and you get your films and stats up, and then you send it out to another team. Okay, they fly you into their country, you play for them. You know what I mean? And also, the biggest thing I could say to everybody who has if you have relatives or if your family members are from a different country, get as many passports as possible. Get as many passports as possible, because the more passports you have, the more openings you can do. You know what I mean? I have my American and Barbados passport. Up until recently, Barbados became an independent country. I wish they kind of didn't for this reason. I could have just been a regular player in the British Basketball League, because I would have been under the British Commonwealth. You know what I mean?
Hey, a lot of knowledge right there. You trying to go overseas? Take all that knowledge right there. Fourth quarter segment, we ask everybody that's on the show, what's your favorite meal?
Oh, man, I'm a foodie, but I can never go. I can never go wrong with wings. Some good wings and drums and sushi.
I could dig it.
And not just the generic California rolls, spicy tuna. I'm like dragon rolls. I mean, like sashimi. I really eat sushi. I eat eel. I eat it all.
What's your favorite thing about fatherhood?
You learn something new every day. It's really what it is, and it's just like you get to come home and just see a smiling face at you, for no rhyme or reason. Like you could have a day where you walk through the door, your kid look at you, start like mind you, my daughter she has 2 teeth right now. Her teeth are coming in. She has 2 of her bottom teeth, and 7 months old. I see her crawl around the corner and just smile at me, and it just fixes my whole day.
I could definitely attest to that, man. Coming home, my son, it could be one of the worst days. They don't know nothing about that, and they don't care.
They don't know nothing. Yeah, they don't care. They just see you.
They happy to see their dad. That's one of the greatest feelings in the world. all the countries you've played in, what's your favorite country that you've played in?
I would have to say the country I'm in, besides the cold, Iceland is actually really dope. And Canada. I really enjoyed playing in Canada too, bro. Like it wasn't that far, and mind you, it was a small league under NBL Canada, but it was still a really fun time up there.
Now you played. We've talked about all of your history. Who have been the best players that you've played with, and then who's the best player that you've played against? You've seen a lot of basketball. You've played a lot of basketball. Best that you played with and against.
I'm gonna piggyback off of what Kev Walker said. Played with and against. Played with. I played with both of these guys, and I played against them. Miles Mack and Kyle Anderson. I don't know how I get shots off Kyle because this nigga can't jump over sandpaper. He's slow, and he still be going off. I don't know how he does it. And Miles, honestly, I don't think a lot of people give Miles the credit he really deserves, bro. Like that guy, I still believe Miles should have gotten a look just in the NBA. Like not even just being a biased Jersey guy. I've seen what this man is able to do. I've seen him literally in high school carve up defenses, just like him and Kyle just next to each other. Kyle running the one, he's like a 1B, just being a scoring guard. Literally him hit somebody with an in and out cross, mid range, lace it, come down, 1, 2, lace the 3. Like I really wish the school never shut down, but Patterson Catholic was really like breeding dogs, bro. They was really out here breeding scary dudes. Like Fu was scary. Jayon, another dude. Jayon was crazy elite growing up too. Like all these guys. I'm like, I might have missed a lot of dudes, but like that school was really just breeding like scary players, bro.
Patterson Catholic was putting out some top tier talent, hands down.
Yeah.
Star bench cut, defensive bigs. Dennis Rodman, KG, Draymond.
Who was the second person?
KG.
KG. I need my offense with my defense. Start KG, bench Dennis, Draymond. You gotta go.
Last one before we get you out of here. Being from Jersey, seeing a lot. You mentioned a bunch of names from Patterson Catholic. I know you know your history when it comes to New Jersey basketball. If you had to choose your Mount Rushmore of Jersey basketballs, who's on your Mount Rushmore?
Man. Tim Thomas, Kyrie Irving, J.R. Smith, and Shaq is a cop-out. I want to throw Shaq in there, but I can't really throw Shaq. Shaq, Texas. He really Texas. Well, they're going to have to share Dante Jones, and Kyle.
Can't argue with that list right there. Not at all. And I'm glad you didn't do the Shaq. I don't really like the Shaq one either. Like, I appreciate that he on TNT like Brick City. I appreciate that. But
he like you grew up in Jersey, yes, but you didn't like the pivotal part of your life was in Texas. You was in San Antonio in high school when you really made your mark. So I'm like, damn, he would have been the best player out of our state. I'm not even gonna lie.
That's a fact, no doubt. But y'all know the vibes. If you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. Bench Mob Ent.
Right.
Peace.
Peace, man.